It's Christmas Eve and Cinderella has just been released from prison for holding weed for her pimp Chester over a donut with her best friend Alexandra. Alexandra lets it slip that Chester has been cheating on Cinderella while she was in prison. Feeling furious and betrayed over Chester's infidelity, Cinderella prowls Hollywood seeking Chester and the cis girl he was sleeping with, while Alexandra, aiming to avoid unnecessary drama, promotes her singing performance at a nearby venue, hoping to capture a glimmer of a life she does not lead. This is Sean Baker's brilliant Tangerine, a film focusing on two trans sex workers, Cinderella and Alexandra, their struggles to be taken seriously in a cis-normative world, and the eventual unity that brings Cindy and Alexandra back together, no matter what. Contrasting this narrative of two trans women who have very little is the subplot of an Armenian taxi driver, Razmik, a man who has a traditional family lifestyle but is unfulfilled, seeking trans women for sex on the streets of Hollywood. Tangerine is simultaneously funny, intense, and emotional, Sean Baker demonstrating a wealth of empathy and authenticity while delving into the world of trans sex workers, from the commonplace transphobia, the gender dysphoria, and even the use of real terminology of the queer community. Shot on 3 iPhone 5S phones, Tangerine was filmed with a modest budget of $100,000, feeling effortlessly kinetic and frantic during its most intense moments, sensitive and intimate during its most heartfelt moments. Tangerine enters a tonal tightrope performance, balancing observant comedy, societal commentary regarding patriarchal inequality and discrimination of trans people, and delivering on its dramatic peaks. At its funniest, Tangerine also provides a thoughtful sense of commentary, such as when Razmik picks up a sex worker in his taxicab, driving somewhere quiet, only to be frustrated that the woman isn't trans, reacting in disgust, and pushing her out of the cab. A subversion of the violent transphobic reaction that trans women have experienced at the hands of cis men discovering a woman's trans identity. While American cinema has a transphobic history of depicting trans women as sex workers for titillation and degradation, Sean Baker avoids the cruelty of stereotyping trans women for the intended respectful depiction of trans unity, strength, perseverance, and sisterhood, demonstrating a highly empathetic and admiring portrayal of trans women living on the fringe of society. Tangerine effectively captures aspects of what it's like to be trans, portraying how normalized transphobia is, the difficulties of gender dysphoria, and also the language of queer culture. The normalization of transphobia is depicted during a scene when Cinderella confronts a local business owner, Nash, in her search for Chester, her pimp, only for Nash to frequently misgender Cindy and Alexandra, even referring to Alexandra when she leaves as homeboy, as well as a scene when the police attempt to de-escalate drama between Alexandra and a man who paid for a hand job by frequently dead-naming Alexandra, misgendering and dead-naming highly disrespectful actions, and within Tangerine they are portrayed both casually to indicate how unfortunately commonplace transphobia is, while also depicting the actions as a source of frustration for Alexandra and Sin-Dee, reinforcing the sense of disrespect and struggle to be taken seriously that trans people face in a cis-normative world. The portrayal of gender dysphoria, while brief, is also worth noting. Gender dysphoria refers to the discomfort a person may feel regarding their gender identity and physical appearance, which is reflected in a brief moment when Alexandra, at the beginning of Tangerine, admits how her hormone replacement therapy is changing her body apart from her arms. Another brief moment of gender dysphoria is depicted during the film's concluding laundromat scene, when Cinderella, having been a victim of a hate crime, covered in an undetermined liquid, removes her clothes to place in the washing machine, but is adamant about keeping her bra on. For many trans people, clothing can be a source of comfort for gender dysphoria, which seems to be why Sin-Dee is adamant on keeping her bra on, allowing herself that sense of gender euphoria and dignity that the bra provides for her. Not only do these details reveal that Sean Baker's empathy towards the trans community is genuine, but it also reveals that the level of research behind Tangerine retains the film's sense of authenticity, further reinforced by details that those within the queer community may recognise, from the shadiness of insulting familiar faces under the breath, such as when Alexandra promotes her gig to trans women on the street, only for both sides to insult each other's looks, to the language used briefly when Alexandra tells Cindy that Chester has been cheating on Cindy with some white fish, the use of fish is a term stemming from the queer community to refer to a cis woman or to have the appearance of a cis woman. The term itself is now considered a sexist phrase within the community due to the connotation towards the vagina having fallen out of favour for other terminologies such as passing, but its origin stems from the New York ball and drag scene of the 80s and 90s to complement another drag queen's or another trans woman's or even a cis woman's appearance. For those outside of the queer community, the language may be offensive to some, but language of this nature was often used to communicate discreetly while also criticising the cis heteronormative world that so violently rejected queer people. Sean Baker's understanding of this lends itself brilliantly to Tangerine, depicting moments of queer solidarity with believability. Reinforcing Tangerine's sense of queer solidarity and trans sisterhood is the film's conclusion at the laundromat. Once Cinderella discovers Alexandra has slept with Chester, feeling deeply betrayed by her best friend, storming off, she also becomes the target for hate crime, covered in what is, hopefully, just somebody's drink. Alexandra, seeing this, rushes to Sin-Dee and helps to get her clothes clean at a nearby laundromat, wiping her down. While waiting for the washing machine, Sin-Dee, clearly downtrodden, having to also take off her wig, is comforted by Alexandra, who lends her own wig to Sin-Dee. A quiet moment of kindness, reconciliation, and sisterhood. No matter what Alexandra and Sin-Dee go through, these two are clearly going to have each other's backs. This brief, quiet, but powerful moment of trans solidarity is the type of inner strength the trans community is known for. When the world tries to beat them down, they pick themselves up and help each other out. While Alexandra and Sin-Dee may not have much to their names, they have each other, and that counts for everything. This sense of solidarity contrasts with the subplot featuring Razmik and his search for Cinderella once he discovers she has returned to the block again. Razmik is a man who has a family, a comfortable home, and the traditional Christmas that Alexandra and Sin-Dee don't have. Stereotypically, Razmik should feel satisfied with what he's achieved, and yet he searches for trans sex workers because he feels unfulfilled with his life, longing for something new and different from his day-to-day regular schedule. Razmik's narrative ends in disappointments and instability when his wife and mother-in-law discover his connection with sex workers, demonstrating that, while someone may seemingly have everything on the surface, it isn't reflective of what happens underneath the surface behind closed doors. Razmik's own dissatisfaction with family living may have just cost him that which he took for granted, in comparison to Alexandra and Sin-Dee's narrative that demonstrates how little they have. Nothing that comes to Alexandra and Sin-Dee is ever taken for granted, least of all their sense of sisterhood. In conclusion, Sean Baker's Tangerine has cemented itself as a present-day alternative to the Christmas classic, with its empathetic and understanding portrayal of two trans women, one on a quest for revenge over her pimp's infidelity, the other on a quest for a sense of change that seems to always escape her. Subverting the morals of traditional Christmas films, Tangerine suggests that a family bond is chosen, and not necessarily married or birthed into. The bond of Alexandra and Sin-Dee is to be envied, because no matter what the world throws at them, transphobia, hate crimes and slimeball pimps, they have each other during Christmas Eve. During the festive period, what else could somebody want more than to be with the person or people that they love? A special thank you to my incredible tier Patreon supporter Gil and my super tier Patreon supporters Constantine Bombelli and Victoria.